Hello students, how are you? You all are fantastic now? Yes sir, thank you. And this is the first class of FM, Financial Management. And in FM Financial Management, we are starting with the chapter 2, that is Mathematics of Finance. Write on the chapter name, Mathematics of Finance. Mathematics of Finance. You can ask me a question that why have you started with this chapter itself? There are many other chapters also there. Why you are starting by this? Listen, actually, what is the meaning of FM? FM is financial management. If you are doing business, earning money, that is also called finance. Now you have the job to utilize this money. That is called how to utilize the earned money. How to utilize the earned money. Everybody who is doing the business, they have got some surplus in terms of cash. Now the question is how to utilize that cash to improve the business, to magnify the business, right? To accelerate the performance of the business. How to utilize that cash? The other question is if you don't have money, you will take the loan. To take the loan. Why you will take the loan? Just to invest the money in the business so that the performance of business can be accelerated. एक बात क्या हो गई? I'm sorry. One thing is what? You have actually earned the money and you have the surplus money in hand. How will you utilize the money? How will you utilize the money to improve the business? The first question. Second is if you don't have money and you want the money to invest the money in the business, where you will get the money from? And once you got the money, how to utilize the money to improve the business, for the betterment of business, to magnify the performance of business. Another thing is what? How much money you will keep in hand. How much money you will keep in hand. Just hold on. How much money you will keep in hand मैडम ये पेन ही स्लो हो जाता है अचानक ही. How much money you will keep in hand for the daily operation. For the daily operation. That is also the question. This question will be dealt in the chapter cash budget. The other question is how much money you will put into inventory and how much inventory you will keep in godown. This question will be answered in the chapter inventory valuation. Inventory valuation. How much cash you will keep in hand that answer you will get from cash budget. How much inventory you will always keep in the godown, that is inventory valuations. And then is the next point is how much goods will be sold on credit and how much goods will be purchased on credit. This is debtors. The person to whom you are selling the goods on credit are called debtors, and the person from whom you are purchasing the goods on credit are creditors. I mean to say, how much you want to have the debtors in your hand and how much you want to have the creditors in your hand, and cash in hand and other current assets and current liabilities position. I'm repeating again. Listen. I mean to say that you also interested in knowing how much debtors you should have always in the business, how much credit sales you can afford, and how much credit purchase you can do. Credit sales and credit purchase. Apart from that, how much cash in hand, how much other current liabilities, how much other current assets. Other current assets, I mean to say, like prepaid expenses, like outstanding income. These are other current assets. Other current liability, I mean to say, outstanding expenses, advance income, prepaid expenses. If you have paid the expense to others in advance, that is your current assets. If you have to receive the income from others, that is your current assets. If you still have to make the payment to others, that is your current liability. If you received the money in advance, that is your current liability, and etc. Many more current assets and many more current liabilities are there. All these current assets and current liabilities together, current assets minus current liability together can give you what? Working capital. So you have the question how to manage the working capital. How to manage the working capital, that is called working capital management. One thing you will always notice that we use the word management everywhere because this is entirely the management. This book entirely is what? Management book. But management of what? Management of the issues related to money. If we are selling the goods to debtors, means we have yet to receive the money. If we are purchasing from creditors, we have yet to make the payment to the creditors. Outstanding expenses, outstanding income, everywhere, directly or indirectly, we are talking about the money. Money means finance. So ultimately, this entire book is what? The management of finance. That is what this is called, financial management. So this working capital management is also one of the chapter in your syllabus. You will get the entire answer there itself. Working capital management. Got that? Tell me first. I will move forward, but before that, I would like to answer up these questions in quick time. Tell me what we are going to study now. The financial management. Finance means the activities related to money. What are the activities? Where to utilize the money, where to get the money just to improve the business performance, and how much money we will have readily available in the business. That is called cash budget. How much inventory we will have readily available in the godown. That is inventory valuations. How much credit sales and how much credit purchase. That is debtors and creditors. How much cash in hand. Other current assets and current liabilities all together is called what? Working capital management. Understand? So three types of management we have discussed so far. We have introduced before you so far: cash budget, inventory valuations, and then what? Working capital management. Next is, if business is earning, then that earning is called what? That may be called operating profit. That may be called, after operating profit we calculate what? Net profit. But from this net profit, how much you will declare dividend and how much profit will be retained, how much profit will be utilized for the purpose of dividend and how much profit will be retained. Understand? So this theory is also called dividend decision. Dividend decision. In the chapter dividend decision, I will let you know earned profit is being utilized for the purpose of distributing dividend, but how much and on what basis? What are the theories governing this dividend decision? All these entire topic will be covered in the chapter dividend decisions. So this is also one of the very important. I'm writing behind here very important. This is very important decisions in FM. Very important decisions. You can also write somewhere. Dividend decision is one of the key chapter in the financial management. Right. So this is dividend decision, one of the key and one of the important chapter in the financial management. Then next is suppose that you need the capital. Why you need capital? I think this is silly question to ask. In any business, capital is the most important thing. You need the capital to purchase the machinery. You need the capital to invest in the goods. You need the capital to make infrastructures. So various kind of job you need, and that need will be fulfilled with the help of capital only. So ultimately business need what? Capital. Capital may be your own. Capital may be what? By loan. That is called financed. Right now? But whether your capital is own or capital is financed, you need to pay the cost. You have to pay the cost. You have to pay the cost of capital. Nobody in the world will give you the free lunch. Can you get the free lunch in the world? No. Similarly, you have to pay the cost of capital also. Like, sir, suppose you are paying dividend. Dividend is also cost of capital. To whom you are paying this dividend? Shareholder. Since shareholder invested the money in the business, you have to pay dividend to the shareholder. This is one of the cost of the capital. Similarly, you have to pay the interest. Interest to whom? Lenders. The person who lend the money to you, you have to pay the interest to them. Dividend can be of two types also. Preference dividend and equity dividend. It depends on the two types of share, preference shares and equity share. You might have heard about this, preference share, equity share. Sometimes I discuss very basic things because I have the perception in my mind that a student doesn't know anything. If they have been taught something in the previous semesters, they have forgotten. That's why the very basic things I also just go through with that. Not paying much attention on that, just going through that, just discussing with that. Preference shares and equity shares. To preference shareholder, you pay the preference dividend. To equity shareholder, you pay the equity dividend. To the lenders, you pay the interest. So this preference dividend in the FM is denoted by, you know what? KP. This equity is KE, and that this interest is what? KD. This KP, KE and KD are called, you know what? These are called cost of capital. But you know, I will not calculate the cost of capital right now. My focus is on just to introduce the FM before you right now. So I'm telling you, this is also one of the chapter, cost of capital. In chapter cost of capital, you will come across and you will come to know about what? The cost of capital, that is cost of preference, KP, cost of equity, KE, and cost of loan, that is what? Interest. This is called cost of debt. This is called what? Cost of debt. Cost of debt. This is called cost of preference, and this is called cost of equity. And all cost together, you know what? All cost together is called WACC. You know what does this mean? All cost together is called WACC, that is weighted average cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital. That you also need to calculate. So actually what you will calculate in the cost of capital chapter? KD, KP, KE, and overall cost of capital. That is called what? WACC. Sometimes you also need to calculate WMCC, weighted average marginal cost of capital. But this is not essential in every course. Anyway, I am just now introducing about the chapters cost of capital. Now discuss about the other topics of this book. And that is, you know what? I discussed about the cost of capital. But with the help of cost of capital, what you will do? You will purchase what? Purchase assets. You will purchase assets. You will do other jobs also, but I'm not talking about the other jobs right now. You forget that. But right now, focus on the purchase of assets. Purchase of asset means like machinery, like plants, like furniture, etc. You need the plant and machinery and furnitures for the purpose of making production and making the production smooth. Understand? So these machinery and plants are also essential part of the business. It is not like, something of current assets. It need a lot of huge capital. For example, you need at least 1 crore for the purchase of machinery. Might be 50 lakhs. It depends on the type of business. So this amount, 1 crore, 50 lakh, 2 crores, and whatever according to the business volume, is not easy task to make the expenditure on. It's not easy decision. It's not very easy decision to take and to purchase the machinery anywhere. You will give 100 thoughts before going to purchase the machinery. You understand? You will give 100 thoughts before going to purchase the machinery. Why? Because you have to think in different ways whether this machinery should be purchased or should be taken on rent. If purchased, then new should be purchased, or second hand should be purchased. So there are various questions here. Why we are focusing on so many questions here? Because in this section we are discussing the purchase of assets, rather purchase of fixed assets, rather purchase of machinery. And machinery costs not a small amount, big amount. Majority of capital can be exhausted for the purchase of machinery. So it's not an easy decision. A person can take 1 month, 2 months, even sometime more to explore the various market, to explore the worldwide where to get this machinery from. Because if machinery is costly, it means your goods is also going to be costly. So it's very critical and very difficult decision to take whether to purchase the machinery, purchase the new machinery, or purchase the old machinery, or can take the machinery on rent. So these entire questions will be answered in the chapter that is called capital budgeting. That is called what? That is called capital budgeting. That is called capital budgeting. One of the most important chapter I am discussing about in FM. One of the most important chapter one can have in the FM. Capital budgeting. Very, very important. There is no questions that question will come from here or not. You have only to search out at which number this question is in the question paper. Capital budgeting. Right? Various tools are there. The tools will be discussed which will help you out to take the decision to purchase the capital assets, purchase the fixed assets. So ultimately, I would like to repeat all things once again, that what we are going to discuss in the chapter what? In the book what? Financial management. These are what? These are cash budget, inventory valuations, working capital management, dividend decisions, cost of capital, then capital budgeting, and some small chapters are also there, like receivable management, like EBIT, EPS analysis, like leverage analysis. Some chapter are also there. I'm writing here. Receivable management. Then leverage analysis. And then EBIT, EPS analysis. Then some other small chapters are there. Value of firm, not a small chapter, sorry. Value of firm is a very big chapter. Again, very important. Very, very important. And etc. This is your entire syllabus. And you understand that in all these chapters, ultimately, directly or indirectly, we are discussing about the use of finance. Optimal use of finance. How can we use the finance optimal? And in every walks of life, if you see one businessman is superior than the other businessman, this is just because of the optimal utilization of money. Suppose that you and me both have started the business together. Down the line, after 10 years, it might be possible that my business is on the same position, but your business in sky high. This is just because of one of the most important reason of what? Financial management. It makes huge difference. Understand that? Tell me. Now you can ask me, sir. Yes. Now you can ask me, sir. You started the chapter 2, and that is what? Mathematics of finance. But you stopped the chapter there and you just discussed something else, that is the introduction of financial management. Same thing. In financial mathematics of finance chapter, I utilize the time in the beginning of 30 minutes to introduce the entire book before you. And the 30 minutes is over. Now I will focus on the chapter number 2, and that is what? Mathematics of finance. Right on. Yes. Mathematics of finance. See here, now my speed will be automatically 20% reduced, because now I'm going to discuss something serious. That's why. Listen here, this chapter is not itself directly useful in the financial management. Directly useful I'm talking about. Because this is not the chapter which is the part of financial management. Rather, this is a tool. This tool is this tool is being used by the businessman to make the financial decisions. You understand that? Mathematics is a tool which is being utilized by the financial manager to take decisions. So these are some tools here which I have to discuss primarily before you, so that with the help of these tools we can discuss the capital budgeting. With the help of these tools, it will be easier for you to understand the capital budgeting. So these mathematical finance tools is 90% important only to discuss capital budgeting. Otherwise, this is not important in other chapters of the FM. But 10% it can be used anywhere. But I'm talking about this chapter has been introduced before you just to discuss about the capital budgeting primarily. So what is this financial mathematics of finance all about? This is also called time value of money. We can also term it as time value of money. Time value of money. In the early age, when you may be adolescent, around 10, 12, 13, 14, you may have come across a very simple formula, and that is what? Amount equals to P into 1 plus R to the power n. Have you been introduced with this formula? in the past in your school days? Tell me. Amount equals to P into 1 plus R to the power N. This is, you know what? No, sir. No, sir. Oh my God. This is amount. This is compound value. Compound interest. A is what? Amount here. This is also called future value. You will get after some time. This is also called future value. P is the present value. And 1 plus R to the power N. N is what? Time period. R is what? Rate of interest. Rate of interest. R is the rate of interest. Write on this. R is the rate of interest. A equals to P into 1 plus R to the power N. A can be called future value and B is present value into 1 plus R to the power N. Got that? So now you can write this formula as such. FV equals to PV into 1 plus R to the power N. Got that? Tell me. FV equals to PV into 1 plus R to the power N. Any prof? Same now. Both of say totally same. I just changed the name. I just changed the name. If you get the amount after 5 years, that is future value. If you invest the money right now, that is called present value. Suppose, have you understood something like fixed deposit? Have you come across with this fixed deposit in bank? If you go and fixed deposit, suppose I'm taking example here. Suppose you fixed deposit in the bank today 1 lakh rupees. Okay? And bank is providing you interest 10%. And after 5 years, what you will get, that is called what? Future value. Got it now? Very nice. 1 lakh you put into the bank today itself with the rate of interest 10%. After 5 years, this is 0.10. 10% is called 0.10. 10% is called 0.10. Yeah. 1 lakh into 1 plus 0.10 to the power 5. 5 is the time value. Sorry, time period. So what you will get after 5 years, keep depositing 1 lakh rupees today in the bank with the rate of interest 10%. That money you will get after 5 years is called what? Future value. Understand? Now, how can we get the future value? Future value equals to present value multiply by compound value factor. What is the compound value factor here? See here. Compound value factor is 1 plus R to the power N. Compound value factor is 1 plus R to the power N. You understand what I replaced here? 1 plus R to the power N can be called as what? Compound value factor. Compound, you simply understand future value. If I'll call it future value factor, then you will easily understand this. But it is not in practice to call it future value factor. Rather, it's practice to call it what? Compound value factor. So compound value factor is what? 1 plus R to the power N. Here compound value factor is at given rate of interest and given number of years of time. This is 1 plus R to the power N. Sir, what is this? What is this? I am explaining. Suppose that this value is calculated on the basis of rupees 1. This value is calculated based on present value rupees 1. Please understand, this is a very important point. This value is calculated based on present value rupees 1. This value is calculated based on present value rupees 1. Understand? You understand? Right. Yes, sir. If 1 rupees, if present value is 1 rupees and their future value is given to you. Listen here, unitary method you might have heard in. Unitary method you might have studied in 9th, 10th class only. If present value is rupees 1, then future value is what? CVF. I don't know actually right now the amount of CVF, so I'm writing CVF only. If present value is rupees 1, then future value is CVF. If present value is 1 lakh, then future value will be what? 1 lakh into CVF. Understand? Yes. I'm telling you, okay, listen again. If present value is 1, your future value is CVF. CVF means compound value factor. Right now, please just keep this name CVF only. Don't elaborate this. I'll explain this further. If present value is 1, then future value is what? CVF. If present value is 1 lakh, then future value will be 1 lakh into CVF. Is this right? Is this right? Yes. So you understand? So if this CVF is the value, what is the CVF? CVF is what? CVF is the, I'm writing here, CVF is the future value of rupees 1. CVF is the future value of rupees 1 given rate of interest, that is R, and given a number of years, that is N. CVF is the future value of 1, given rate of interest and given number of years. And if you have 1 rupees future value, you can find out the whatever the present value you have. For example, suppose you have what? 1 lakh rupees of present value, multiplying it by CVF, you can get the future value of 1 lakh. You can get the future value of 1 lakh. If you will say, I understood, only then I will move forward. You understood so far? I'm writing again here. I'm writing last time again here. Tell me what I want to find out. I want to find out future value. What I have given? 1 lakh rupees what? Suppose this is example only. 1 lakh rupees are present value. And what else I have given? I have given the future value of rupees 1. So future value of rupees 1 multiply by 1 lakh rupees, we can get what? The future value of 1 lakh rupees. So this 1 lakh multiply by, this is called what? CVF at given rate and given number of years. Now the question is how to get what? Now the question is how to get CVF given R, given N. And you will be pleased to know that you have not to calculate this CVF. This CVF will be given to you. This CVF will be given to you in the book itself. And in the examination also this CVF will be given to you. And even then, if you want to calculate with the help of calculator, I will let you know about that. With the help of calculator also, you can find out the CVF value. You understand? With the help of calculator. Sir, first of all, tell me where this value is given in the book. See here, I'm finding out. CVF value. See here, this is CVF. Are you getting that? Are you watching? This is CVF value. You also have the book. You go there in the back side. You will have the mathematical table and a factor of compounded value given amount CVF. Whatever the value of CVF is given this book na, here in the chart na, that CVF value is the future value of rupees 1. Future value of rupees 1. Please understand this meaning. This is very important to understand the coming 3 chapters and 4 chapters. Chapter number 3 and chapter number 4. This CVF. For example, see here. See here, what is this? Now the point is how to get CVF. And I told you in the given chart before you see here. The chart is like that. This vertical column is for time period. You also turn the page if you have the book right now in front of you. This horizontal is what? Rate of interest. Have you got the book? This is time period, this is time period, and this is rate of interest. Because sometimes a student also commit mistakes in searching out the value here. That's why I will take 5 minutes time to explain this. You understand now? This is time. Suppose this is 1 year and rate of interest is 1%. 1 year and 1%. The value is what? 1.010. 1 rupees after 1 year, please pay attention on my language. 1 rupees after 1 year with the rate of interest 1% becomes what? 1.010. 1 rupees after 1 year with the rate of interest 2% becomes what? 1.020. 3% becomes what? 1.030, and so on, etc. After 2 years, 1%, 1.020, 1.040, and so on. You understand now? So you can find out any percentage, any number of years. In this book, the number of years maximum given is 30. So you can find out that till 30, and the percentage is maximum given how much? 20%, rather 30%, sorry. You can find out till 30%. Otherwise, with the help of calculator also you can find out this. With the help of calculator. Now, suppose that I am taking example here. Suppose that in this question, what I took the example? I took the example rate of interest is what? See here, bache. See here. Rate of interest is what? 10%. Time is what? 5 years. Now your responsibility starts to find out what? Find out the value of CVF at the rate of interest 10% and time value 5. Time value 5 years. Tell me what is the value here? 10% and 5 years. 10% and 5 years. Oh, tell me fast. 10% and 5 years. Search in the CVF chart, go there, 10% column and 5 years. 0.5, where you get this? Listen, CVF value will always be more than 1. You keep in mind that. CVF value will always be more than 1. I don't think that you are in CVF chart. You might be somewhere in other chart. See in the CVF chart. See. CVF, only CVF. I will not move other unless you give the answer. You give the answer. It's very important. It's very important. What I did in the entire class, if you don't answer this. My question is 5 years and 10%. Search the 5 years and 10%. And 10%. Have you got the CVF chart before you? Yes, sir. Then you see the period 5 years. Period 5 years. That is vertically. Wow, fantastic. My God, I'm extremely pleased. Lastly, you give the answer. But listen, I'm just joking. It's not so difficult question that you give the answer and start dancing here. You should have come very earlier. 1.611. 1.611. But yes. Yeah. CVF will be always more than 0. Sorry, not more than 1. CVF will be always more than 1. Because whatever you're getting after some time, now you will get always more than 1. Because 1 is the present value. Okay, 1 is the present value. Today you are giving me 1 rupees. I'll give you back something more by adding some interest over the after some time. Okay, so this is many ways you can keep this concept in mind. CVF will be always more than 1. Another thing, you give me the very nice answer 1.611. So you multiply this here. CVF 10% and 5 years. So you multiply 1 lakh by 1.611. What you will get? 1,61,100. 1,61,100. This is your future value. 1,61,100. So isn't it very easy to find out the future value given that the present value and rate of interest and number of years? What do you say? Absolutely easy. But this CVF can be found out with the help of the calculator also. You don't need this book and this chart. But for that, you have to wait for the next class. Till only next class. Take care. Bye-bye and see you all together.